Hello and welcome to Will It Roll. We've got 3 more cars for you today, and we start off with this, the Smart 4.2. This has 70 horsepower, weighs very little, 1,800-ish pounds. I'm doing things in pounds now because I can't be bothered to try and convert between pounds and English, American tons, and I get confused. So yeah, it shall be in pounds from now on because of stupid measurements. But yes, the smart car. The pros are it is utterly tiny. It's actually quite manoeuvrable. It's not that bad a car to drive. I sort of messed about with it for a while. It's quite good fun, even if it is horrendously underpowered. The cons are, well, your legs are the crumple zone. I really would not want to be in a crash in one of these because it's going to hurt and bits will be broken. And yeah, I can't imagine it's a particularly safe car. And yeah, it's not exactly fast, but it is good fun, I have to say. It's more fun than I was expecting it to be. Anyway, yes, we're starting from a different point in this replay. It'll make sense in a minute. But yes, the whole sort of thing with this Will It Roll series is to do with central gravity. That's kind of what this all rolls around. Central gravity is the point at which the mass is said to act. I think that's the physics correct term. So basically, a narrow high car will roll lots easier than a wide low car, which is why the Hummer rolled quite easy because it was tall, whereas the LMP car was very difficult to roll because it was very low and very wide. The smart car is very narrow and very tall and falls over very easily. That was the first attempt with a completely unmodified smart car, and yeah, it's incredibly easy to roll this. You could roll it on pretty much any corner on most tracks if there's a slight curb, and it will fall over. The reason I'm not doing this on Maple Valley is because the cameras are useless. Ford Transit is up next. This has been one of the most requested cars of all. Near enough 200 horsepower. Doesn't weigh as much as you think. It's like half the weight of a Hummer, 4,000 something pounds, and it's got racing stripes, which are always cool. The pros, it can carry a lot of stuff, although I don't really think that's needed in Forza, and it's good for tailgating because it's a van. Cons, it's not exactly exciting. I mean, it's a fast van. It's a very fast van if you compare it to vans, but yeah, it's a Transit. It's not the most exciting vehicle in the world. It's also quite expensive, 28,000 credits. It's quite a lot for a van, considering you can have an Escort Cosworth for 24,000 credits. Yeah, I think I got that right. And I'm going to be honest, I think I would probably buy the Escort. Now, the Transit is very difficult. I had it standard, just didn't do anything. So I've upgraded the suspension here, made the suspension high, and it fell over, which is kind of promising. The problem is, while the Hummer was very tall and weighed an awful lot, the actual sort of like, how am I going to explain this without sounding like an idiot? Sort of like side profile of it isn't like as flat as this. This is, I'm trying to get it over, doesn't really want to go over. The side of this vehicle is huge, like surface area. There we go. Something scientific-y, sort of. Surface area of the side of this van is humongous. So no matter what I did, it would just do this. It would fall over, go on its side, and skid along the road. Which isn't what we want. Okay, it's fallen over quite easily. This is upgraded suspension, so raised and stiffened suspension. It was falling over. It's fallen over quite consistently, but it didn't like attacking the curb from this direction, which is why you'll see most of the stuff from the other way. Because for some reason, going that direction, it just didn't do anything, and it's a bit weird. Normally, cars aren't that fussy. But yeah, I spent quite a long time trying to get this to do anything. This is just the suspension. I did take some weight out of it as well. See here, and it just wasn't doing anything. So I put the weight back in again. It just basically is falling over and landing on its side, and I was having real difficulties with this. So it was time for some slightly different upgrades. So I put the weight back in it, and as you might be able to hear now, there has been a slight, well, no, more than a slight improvement to the power. This van has now got a V8 supercar engine in it, which means it's got some ridiculous numbers of horsepower. It's very loud, although I didn't upgrade the differential, which I probably should have done, because it was basically just spinning one wheel, which isn't particularly helpful when you're trying to put any power down. Now, this made the van an awful lot faster, and this is my second run with it, and it's now kind of sort of rolled. I don't think that's really good enough to count, is it? It's sort of landed on its roof. So, yeah, we're going to keep going. I'm sure it can do better. Now, the problem with the van, of course, is the lack of speed as standard. At least that's what I was kind of thinking at this point. It needs more speed to try and get it to actually sort of fall over more than just sit on its side. But it wasn't really working particularly. It's still going on its side, and it's sort of just skidding along there, not really rolling over. The only way I was ever going to get it to sort of flip was to get a lucky bounce off the wall. And again, we're coming up the curve from a different way. We're going on the side, hit the wall, and no, that's back on its wheels again. And ooh, we may have smashed it into that tyre wall as well. This was getting quite annoying. I was beginning to think I was never going to roll a van, so drastic actions had to be taken, and I ended up on Maple Valley. I was finding somewhere different, see if I get some more speed and a slightly different curve, and see what happens. And this was my first run, and it was looking a little bit more promising there. Admittedly, that was more caused by going sideways on the grass than it was me hitting the curb and actually rolling it properly, but it was looking more promising. And after God knows how long this took, this Transit has been the biggest pain to roll. It's the hardest vehicle by far. We eventually managed to get it to do a backflip, sort of backflip front foot twist, and there we go. That's good enough for me for a roll, and I think I may well have that as my new intro for some videos, because it's just a silly sight, but the Transit was an incredibly tough challenge. But yes, I managed to do it. Somehow the Transit rolled, but yeah, it did require quite considerable upgrading to get that to do that. And the final one, this is the most requested car, and really surprised by this one. I wasn't expecting people to be interested in this, but it is a DeLorean. And this has 130 horsepower, weighs 2,800 pounds, and it's the unique stainless steel finish on this car. I think it's the only car that's ever had it. It makes it quite an interesting car to look at. The pros, it time travels when you hit 80 miles, 80. Whoa, my English. It's all gone wrong. 88 miles an hour, yes, it will time travel. The cons are, well, you're not really going to get it to 88 miles an hour very often. It's incredibly slow. I know it was never meant to be a really high-performance sports car, but yeah, it's very slow, and not the most exciting car to drive in the world. The brakes aren't particularly good, the handling isn't fantastic, but yeah, it's a time machine, and that's where everyone knows it from. So this did take some modifications. Basically standard, it's so slow, even with the upgraded suspension. The car's so wide and low that getting it to roll is impossible, because you just can't get the speed up to hit the curbs hard enough. So this has had twin turbos put on it, because why not? It needed some speed, and to do it in as few upgrades as possible, turbos were the solution. It's actually now quite a nice car with turbos on. That was the solution. To make this car better in real life, they should have fitted twin turbos. But yeah, as you can see, it's kind of lifting wheels off the ground, but it wasn't doing it very consistently. And this one here was quite tricky as well. This took quite a long time. I cut out loads of this because it was probably the most boring of all, because just nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, I have no clue how I did this. It was complete sort of luck fluke, but it rolled it. I'm astonished that this car rolled. Standard, you are never going to get it to roll. It's far too slow. And yeah, the even with upgraded suspension, you won't get it to roll because it's too slow, and the centre of gravity is far too low for this thing to ever sort of roll over. So we're going to leave you with a super slow-mo of the DeLorean, because everybody wanted to see the DeLorean, and because it looks quite silly. But yes, that is it for this episode, guys, so thank you very much for watching. As ever, if you all have cars you want to see roll, then please do leave them in the comment section, and I will pick the 3 most popular, or the 3 most interesting, I guess, and they shall be in a video next week. But until next time, goodbye.